thank you so much for tuning in to the Recruither podcast, where we share the stories and have real conversations with women in leadership and recruitment. We hope you enjoy. Before we get started on the Recruither podcast, we acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia, their connection to land, sea and community, and we pay our respect to their elders past, present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people today. Charlotte, thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Naomi.
Charlotte Hall from Hallway People.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Charlotte, you have been in the industry for a long, long time. But something that you have been mastering recently that I really want to have a conversation with you on, because I think a lot of people will get value from this, is you're putting yourself out there in video form, which is really scary, but you are very, very good at it.
Thank you.
And as the saying goes, people buy people.
Mm-hmm.
And your video interaction that you have on LinkedIn is really great because it's quite communicative. But your energy comes across in those videos as well. It's not a dry video of, this is the role, do you want to apply? You genuinely look really enthusiastic about all of your jobs. Yeah. Is that authentic?
Oh, for sure. I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, it is. It comes across. So one of the things I wanted to ask you is actually, why did you choose to show up in this way? And what made you want to do videos?
It's a good question. I think, and that comes from being thrown into doing it for a job. Okay. Yeah. So about 5 years ago now, I was working for a major equestrian retailer, and I'm a massive horse girl as well. Right. So it was a dream gig, and I was managing head of people and community for 400 strong global headcount.
Oh my goodness.
Business. Yeah. Loved it. And as part of the community part of the gig that I had, the biggest challenge I had, or the biggest goal I had, if you like, was to up the engagement of our community, and especially online. So growing social media already was a very big following, but being able to bring really valuable content to our community that is, let's be honest, products. So how, it's a great thing about recruitment. We've got a service that we can sell and talk about. But when you've got a product, it's gleamy, fashion, things like that. So for me as a writer, I knew intrinsically what we wanted to see. And that was, I want to see people that I aspire to be like, or that are like me out there, that can speak about what they had for breakfast before they went and did an Olympic dressage test, or, little just nuances like that. How do they clean their boots? What is it that they do here? And we had this idea about creating video, so bringing the event to you. We started with 5 of the major events in Australia that we sponsored, were major sponsors, and we travelled around with the marketing team having no idea about what we were doing at all. Literally took graphic designers doing, set up with cameras and things like that. Didn't know what they were doing. Hired mics.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And just kind of went with it. I was, en route to things like Googling, how do I speak on camera? What do I do? And I'd done a bit of public speaking, but, I'd never spoken to camera, so I didn't actually understand. The great thing for me was that I didn't have to learn about what I was talking about. I was so passionate about it. So anyway, the first video that we did, which we were interviewing a rider as they came off cross country and they were walking back to the stables with their horse. And I was chatting to him on the way back. And that got by far a truckload of engagement than any post had ever done in years. And from there, we were just like, well, this works. We have to do it. And I was said, okay, who else is going to do that? Now I've got a pretty big gig, right? Who else is going to do that? No one else wanted to, of course. So I ended up doing it for a couple of years, mostly on weekends where I'd be riding as well. And anyway, I saw the value. I saw the growth. It had an uptick in website visits it was ridiculous, the amount. Really? I think it was nearly over 80%. It was through the roof.
Yeah.
Yes, we had COVID. People were online spending money. But The engagement was amazing, and all of the feedback from the stores was everybody's coming in and talking about your videos. Yeah. And it's changing.
So you put a face to the brand.
Yeah.
And I think
Absolutely.
yeah, but that's really important, isn't it? Because, you know, people buy people, like what we were just saying. But when you put a face behind the brand, people feel like they're connected to you. They feel like they know you. And so whether it's a product that they're buying or, you know, they're applying for a job or whatever it may be, they feel like they know you already. And that is so important. I know that before you and I actually physically met, I knew you already because of what the videos you were doing. And then we went on that podcast together. And I felt already connected to you. I knew exactly what you looked like. I knew exactly what your voice sounded like.
Wow.
I knew the energy that you had. So that video, you know, you putting yourself out there, it just gets you so much further than what you would do if you didn't do that.
Thank you. That's such a good compliment, by the way, because that's exactly my goal.
Yeah, and I suppose as well, when you're doing it and you're the person that's in front of the camera, you're the person putting it up on LinkedIn, you can feel as if, oh, is anyone actually watching this? Is anyone actually engaging with this? You know, I've spoken about this on the podcast before, is that not everybody's going to like your post or physically like it. That's what I mean, like press like.
Yes.
Not everybody's going to engage with it and comment on the post, but you're putting yourself out there so much that even those people that don't physically like the post or comment or do anything, they know who you are. And so sometimes when you're going through that, you can feel like, oh my goodness, is this just, you know, not doing anything? But yeah. And I think as well, going on facial expressions and body language, your videos that you put out there, like I said before, they're not just dry videos where, you know, you're just talking to the camera, you're a bit robotic, you're reading off a script. You know, when you're watching those videos and you can see people's eyeballs move as if they're reading the script. You know, so yours are very, very authentic, and you are enthusiastic about the role that you're recruiting for. You describe the person, and somebody might watch that video rather than read a job ad because they'll see your face and they'll go, oh, this girl, she sounds really enthusiastic about this job. And that is so, so important to putting yourself out there because, you know, like I said before, with your engagement that you're getting, do you think that there are people that apply, that would look at the job ad, not apply for the role, but then watch your video and go, oh, actually, that sounds really interesting?
Yes, and I can give you an example of exactly that.
Amazing.
So we recently had a role for a CFO, and it was a C-suite role, finance. I do C-suite roles. I don't do a lot of accounting and finance roles. And my idea was, how do I turn this into something a little bit less dry and a little bit, because unfortunately I have the reputation of being slightly dry. So I don't want to be those same ads on Seek and LinkedIn that, you know, it's just all the same stuff.
100%.
Yeah. And it's just, nothing is standing out. And so I was like, okay, so how do I actually create something that is a bit more grabby? Because let's be honest, it is an advert. You do need to think a little bit like a marketer when you are positioning your adverts out there because you want eyes on them. Okay. And so, and I'm getting to my point about how I know that someone looked that hadn't looked. The company had already advertised for this role and came to me they didn't find the right candidates.
How long were they advertising for? Do you remember?
I think it was about 3 months.
So a long time.
Long time.
And they had just placed an advert? Is that all that the efforts that they have done with a Seek advert or something like that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, yeah, they hadn't done a lot, but they are also recruiters, so I won't talk about them. And they're gorgeous, gorgeous. And interestingly, she found me again. We'd worked together 10 years ago.
Yeah.
She found me again because of a Facebook video I'd put out.
Yeah.
You know? And so just to add that to the step, that was an engagement. Now, she's this huge business and massive growth. And so my idea was, okay, let's look at seeing, how do we make this a bit more interesting? What can I do? How do I tell a story? How do I make it engaging?
Yeah, that's
right? And so we get to this a little bit later, but I might bring it forward, where I used AI to help me. So plugged into ChatGPT, literally the job description, and said, tell me something give me a story that's creative, that asks for the same key responsibility, turn it into a video script, and give me something that I can share, out there that's going to still ask for the right criteria, but make it more engaging. And it spat out this most amazing story about, are you a money maestro? And it was all in the lines of to do with music and using things like, let's make a symphony of numbers together. And so it had that theme, right? So it was different, it's a bit quirky. And I was able to share that. And I had a phone call from the person who got the role. And she said to me, I think I saw this ad a month or so ago and I just scrolled past it like everything else. She said, but I stopped on your video. She said, because it's hilarious, first of all. And secondly, because I just needed to talk to you. Because I thought if you're working with them, then perhaps that might mean something about who I'm representing. So that was good feedback. It worked.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I love that you used AI, because I think AI isn't, it's very, very new. It's very new. But not a lot of people are using Chat GPT the way that it needs to be used. I won't go into too much detail, but you can make it learn your behaviors and learn what you do, so that when you ask it to do something, it already knows about your business. It already knows what you do. It already knows your tone of voice, your branding. And so when it gives you prompts on something, it is so scarily accurate. It's actually like you're talking to a VA.
I know.
So that's I love that you used that. And going back to that client as well, that client found you through those videos and engaged with you. When you've had clients that have seen you do your videos, so say for instance that client found you through your video, when you were talking to them about taking the role on and talking to them about, how you would generate interest, did they ask you to do a video, or did you say that was part of your service? How does that come about?
Yeah. I usually introduce that very early on in the piece. And so what I usually run from, if people, hopefully they talk about the video to begin with, and it's a bit of an icebreaker for us in our conversation, which is great, because then I say, I'm glad you liked it. You're going to be in one soon. And then they'll go, oh.
Are they ever in the videos?
Yes. All of my candidates do intro videos to my clients.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And there was actually
not long.
Help you with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it something that you do virtually?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I have, without giving away too many of my secrets, just I sit strongly in my value so I can share it. So I have guidelines that I've built and created to share with all of my candidates to do a video introduction for my clients. They all just use their iPhones. It's all very, very basic, but I give them a really simple setup of, how to make yourself look flattering, where should you put yourself, how you should hold yourself, and give them an example script and also an example video. This is what good looks like.
Absolutely.
Be authentically you, but
yeah. I've actually done a video like that previously for a company that I was they were helping me find a job.
Yeah.
And I had to do a video introduction. So scary.
Was it scary? Yeah.
But the client, I ended up so it was almost like a resume. So and then they ended up interviewing me through that video. And when they met with me, they said, "Oh, I already knew what you looked like, and I thought you'd be great for the role because you said X, Y, and Z." It just brings life to the CV, because CVs can be very kind of boring, monotonous. People can write all sorts of things on there.
Yes.
So bringing life behind that resume is so important. And without giving away all your secrets, that is something that I think a lot of recruiters should look at. Yes. But it's also equally a secret that's nice to be kept, because it makes your point of difference a bit different. So.
It does, but I think, what, it's from all of the research and all of the information gathering I've been doing. I'm a massive nerd when it comes to this stuff. I love learning about it. And so anything where I can tweak any tech or anything else that I can use, I'm always looking for. It is where we're going, So there are going to be more people like me out there doing 100%. Them, and we will all be doing it before long. So we kind of need to get on board. It's a bit like using LinkedIn before that came along,
Oh, I remember using LinkedIn before it was a thing.
Before it was a thing.
I used to go on Word and type up key points about the role that I was recruiting for, screenshot it, and then crop the Word document, and then share it as a picture on LinkedIn, because there was no Canva or anything back then. So I used to do that, and oh my goodness, it was funny, but it's so important showing up and via video. And actually, you mentioned that one video on toxic work culture led to 50% increase in candidate applications and a 30% growth in new client contacts.
Yeah, that was over the course of a month period. Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, and that's probably it's a good point to make around the content. So it doesn't. Video job ads are not the only thing.
No.
So yes, they're good and they're great to have up there. And I'll be honest, they're more of an advertising, subliminal marketing scenario.
Yeah, some people might not actually listen to it, but they'll see your phrase as they're scrolling through LinkedIn, but they might actually not.
Yes. Whereas anything else where you can add education, where you can provide value to even your competitors. You can provide value to your internal recruiters, to your business owners. All of those things are really, really helpful. And I did do that video. It blew up actually on toxic work cultures and what to avoid, how to get out of it, and why you shouldn't hang around in it. I got quite upset doing it.
Did you? Yeah. Are you doing it from experience?
Yeah. And also from experience for myself, but people like Mel and other people that I've been dealing with, there'd been too many coming through, and it was just bouncing through me, and it was just...
That's amazing though, because it's authentic, and that's what people buy, isn't it?
Yeah.
They could see, even if they could see you were getting upset, they could see that this lady knows what she's talking about. She's just not reading off a script and kind of thinking, well, I know what a toxic work culture is because I've Googled it. You've actually physically been through it yourself. So you're talking from experience, which is great. Now, in terms of the tech as well, I know that you mentioned that kind of the AI systems, but there are also tech that you can use that are like video tech that you can use as well. Is there anything that you're happy to share?
Yeah, for sure. So AI is my biggest friend. That's the one I use the most for all of my ideas and my content. Some of them, well, I'm going to say most of my ideas are my ideas, but they help me flush them out. So let's preface it by saying that, get the detail. As you said before, Hallway People is brand. My thread in chat GPT-4, if I ever lost that, I'd be so upset. So I'm not quite sure how we manage that. It doesn't seem quite strong for data, but it knows me, knows my tone of voice. You can set it up in there with people that you love and know and you resonate with. So for example, I've got people I love, Trini Waddell, Brene Brown, Mia Friedman, all these great speakers out there that I can resonate with tone-wise. I say in the tone of these three people.
Amazing.
In the tone of, and you can add extra depending on... Anyway, so it builds your tone over time and it understands and connects that with Hallway. So now I can say in the tone of Charlotte, right? Because it understands me. So from there, I could talk about that for days. We'll move on. Another one is Submagic. I've started using that for great subtitles, similar to Diary of a CEO type stuff. If you watch that, Stephen Bartlett, I love him.
Oh, I love him.
Him too. Oh my God, I love him so much. So he... this will help you create videos and content style like that, which I prefer because it's actually easier than doing all the really fancy schmancy stuff. It's easier to get that sort of stuff out. Canva, you talked about it earlier. You can create templates for all of your different platforms with the one video. Really easily.
Yeah.
And share that. Yeah, so there's a lot that you can use.
Yeah, that's great. And I think as well, when you're on things like Canva, there is so much to that platform that you don't know. So
Yes.
just being able to research that is so important. I know that Sian, who does all of my social media content, she'll create a post, let's say on Instagram, and then it will resize to LinkedIn, to this, which is absolutely amazing. Aren't we so lucky to live in a world where it's all a digital world and we do things so much easier, you know?
Absolutely.
No,
And I think,
through yellow pages trying to look for clients.
God, I did that for way too long. You know, we are super lucky. And I think we're also really, really lucky that we can now have more time to do this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, to do the stuff we truly love.
That's another thing as well. It's a time, you know, time is your most valuable asset. And it's something that you're never going to get back.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really, 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 really struggled with recently. It's having time. But sometimes you just need to get other people to help you, and whether that be an AI tool or somebody that's working with you, so you can free up your time to do the things that you love.
Absolutely.
Because I can tell that when you're doing a video, you love doing that.
Yeah.
And it's just so lovely to see you doing what you love doing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I do. And that is, you know, authentic.
Yeah.
I think you live and learn as you're doing, right? You would know the activities that you love the most. You know, this is probably one of them now.
And when you're good at something,
yeah.
you know, when you love something and you're good at something, it makes it so much easier to do. And, you know, we have to do things that we love every day. Otherwise, it's a really, really difficult, tough world to live in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's so important. And in terms of digital as well, that's another thing that, you know, if we do want to keep up with the times, I think even 4 to 5 years from now, everything will be digital. And so people that don't put their face or their brand out there, unfortunately, will naturally fall flat. So you have to be able to be comfortable and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And it just gets better. I know when I first did the recruitment podcast, I sat here and I was physically feeling so sick. But it just gets easier, you flow better, and that video communication is so important if you want to be able to still be in recruitment in 5 years or 10 years.
For sure.
I think even at the end of this year, I keep talking like we're in 2024, at the end of 2024, things will be so different to what they are.
Yes.
2023.
We need to do a follow-up episode then.
We do.
Yeah,
we do.
We absolutely do.
Yeah, 100%. So it's been so lovely to have you on here today, Charlotte. Thank you so much again.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. That went way too quickly.
I know. It goes quick when you're having fun.
It does.
Thank you so much for listening this far. As you know, this Recruit Her podcast is very new. Therefore, we would really, really like your feedback. Please email any feedback that you have to hello@recruither.com.au.